On this very important special edition of the OG and Crab Show, Derek Shelton has been dismissed, and Ben Cherington talked about it, and boy, do we have a lot to say about it. Cue the music. Welcome back to the OG and Crab Show, everybody. I am OG, and with me is Crab, and we have no time to waste because Derek Shelton is no longer the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. We are two Yinzer dads. We have a lot to say about this. Apparently, so did Ben Cherington, and not a lot of it made sense. Did it, Crab?
No, I watched this press conference like 6 times in a row. I managed to screen grab it from SNP Pittsburgh. I had a sneaking suspicion that it would be scrubbed from the internet, and I was going to spend the rest of the afternoon becoming a computer hacker from a Transformers movie circa 2015, figuring out how you got it. That's me trying to figure out how to.
Two people on the same keyboard, like NCIS.
Right. I was like, give me some energy drinks and a Hot Pocket and let me get to work. And I was like cracking my knuckles. I got a screen grab. We're gonna walk through the entire press conference from start to finish.
It's a bootleg, man. We got a bootleg.
We got a bootleg. So for those at home, just so you know, this is like the olden days whenever you would have a cassette from your like older cousin or brother, and you would take it across the street to the guy with the 2 cassettes, and then you would dub it down to his cassette. He would give it to his cousin and or brother, and that Metallica album would make it across the county and become nothing at the end. This is what we're dealing with. I also broke out my specialty. This is not Surfside. This is my single malt scotch.
Whoa. We're celebrating.
We're celebrating. So cheers to you, OG.
I've got my usual store brand fizzy water.
Okay, let's get into it. We're going to start from the beginning here, and let's react to Ben Cherington's press conference today, May 8th, as we fire Derek Shelton. First of all, I want to say this guy looks like he's aged tremendously, even in 5 years. This is a lot. He looks much different. It's taking a toll on him.
Ben, how did you kind of get why was it coming?
I want to answer that question. Let me first start saying again, thank you to Shelty. He worked his tail off for 5+ years. He gave it everything he possibly had. I'm confident in saying that. Always available year round. Put his whole life into it. And his family, certainly Allie's, his kids and parents became part of the organization, and we're going to miss that. So, there's no one thing. We aren't performing the way we need to. We're not performing in a way that our fans deserve. We know we need to be better. I think as I looked at the end of last year, August and September, and how April and the first few days of May have played out, it just became clear that a change was necessary and that we were not in a position to wait any longer.
I just want to stop and get started with that. The Shelton stuff aside, that's the stuff general managers say when they fire somebody. I'm not, bent on a shape about that in any way, shape, or form. What I find fascinating about that first bit is that he talks about the last part of the season and just now realizing that a change needs to be made. This is the same team from last year. We said this many times on this show. This is the same team from 2024. It took him for them to dig themselves into a deep hole and basically piss away this season to finally figure out that it wasn't working. That is like mind-boggling to me, because we all knew that you gave Derek Shelton last year's team, and that basically it's the same team from 23. ostensibly with like Paul Skeens and like Jared Jones is and a couple young players. It's the same core. It's the same guys. We've seen that it's 76 win team, and you thought he would do something different. I still aghast at this. OG.
I agree. This isn't. I mean, these opening comments are dreadfully boring and boilerplate, and there's not really anything to say about them.
Ben, you think he lost some of the players? Or sorry, you think he lost some of the players or the locker room, the clubhouse at all?
I don't have any evidence for that. I think we look at the total performance, and we're all responsible for that. This certainly isn't all on Shelty. We're all responsible. Certainly starts with me. I'm more responsible than anyone.
No shit.
Well, then why are you still employed?
That's right. Exactly.
If
He's
you're
the
more
most
responsible, shouldn't you be more fired?
I mean,
Great
I'm
freeze
with
frame,
you.
by the way. Love that.
I don't understand why they just don't do it all at one time.
This is going to be my main critique here, is that if you're Bob Nutting and you're getting rid of your manager and not the GM who is supposed to be accountable together, surely there isn't any shred of possibility that Ben Cherington continues to be GM after the end of this season, and that this is just some kind of like misplaced desire for continuity and operational consistency or something. Well, like, we've got to have somebody running the draft. We've got to run a team until the end of the year when the season is over. But now you've got a guy who knows or should know that he has no shot. And now, instead of him thinking, well, maybe I should make some prudent decisions for the future and maybe we can pull this thing out and make something of it, now he knows that he's not long for this job. So what's he gonna like? Is he gonna lash out now? Is he gonna do something rash?
Is he gonna Chris Archer us? Are we gonna get Archered?
That's my worry, is that he's gonna make some like really short-term decisions. Now, what does that look like? Like trading O'Neal Cruz too soon and not getting anything good, for trading anybody and not getting anything good like he usually doesn't do. But yeah, that I am not a fan of not holding them accountable together, because now now you've got, like, look, he knows he's not got this job for long.
He's
so
cooked.
what's he gonna do?
He knows he's cooked. He knows he's cooked. You'll see his body language. It's bad. This body language looks exactly like how I felt when I was, in trouble. When I was in trouble with my boss for doing something wrong, and they're telling you, "Hey, this is unacceptable," and you have that, kind of. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. You got your shoulders down. You're trying to hope the guy doesn't see you. He's on the other side of the desk. It's the same energy.
That's the bottom line.
Look at him.
This wasn't about any single player, particular player, any single event, any single day.
One more thing. Hit pause one more time. One more thing that he said there that I didn't mention something about. He said that he doesn't see any indication that Shelton lost the room. I guess he doesn't watch the games, just like me, because the body language of the players, like, they're out there quitting left and right. I mean,
I think that go ahead. Sorry. I know.
Is that like, am I off base there? Is there really not, like, any fan can see it on television that Shelton had lost the room?
I think there's the fans version of losing the room, and then there's the industry insider version of losing the room.
Okay.
And I think this guy probably understands that. I think what he's actually saying is, this team sucks, and I built a shit team, and so there wasn't a room to lose because we never had a room. This is what it is, and I can't blame Shelton for losing these guys because they're not good. I think that's kind of what he's projecting in that way. That's why he's very confident. He says, "I don't see any evidence of that." That's his first statement. I don't see any evidence of that. Because, of course, you don't see any evidence of that, because in your mind, you can't lose what you never had. And to say you lost the room, it's like saying, like, you lost a bunch of superstars. They're rebelling and they need a new voice, and they're just gonna, like, get out of their slumps. These guys can't get out of their slumps because they can't hit. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
again, the last part of last year and the early part of this year. And just became clear to me that in order to move forward and get the Pirates back moving in the direction we need to move, that a change was necessary to give ourselves the best chance to do that.
Why do you think Don Kelly is the guy to get this thing turned around?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
Reason number one, he's the bench coach.
As a person,
he's there. He's a human. He's right there.
Who else is going to do it?
Cares way more about the Pirates.
They're not going to go out and hire somebody. They're just going to make the bench coach the manager.
About the people in that clubhouse than he does about himself. He's just an elite human being and teammate, and comes. And
most importantly, he's here.
Day.
You know what's funny? I did some research into Donnie Kelly today, just like Googling him and reading his Wikipedia page and just like, checking him out. He worked under Leland. So for all you Yinzers out there listening to this show, they're like, the Yins guys need to hire Jim Leland, bring him back here or whatever. Like, you're getting the closest version of Jim Leland that's available today. Number one. And he worked for the Astros, where they have a track record of, being able to mix old school and new school. And I think some of the problem with maybe Shelton and Cherington is that Cherington doesn't realize that his analytics team can make mistakes, that he can make a mistake. And, Shelton wasn't a great messenger of mixing old school and new school, like numbers and Hurdle was good at that, is what I'm trying to say. Hurdle was pretty good at that. So maybe Kelly can get through. Maybe Kelly has a little mojo with he can do some Jim Leland table throwing, and get in someone's face and chew them out like he did the Bonds. And then give him a portfolio of here's your exit velocities. And maybe you need to hit the ball this much higher.
He is a former player too. He's not like a former player who barely played. They're technically a former player. I don't know if Shelton had any major league time or anything. I mean, we got that photo of him pitching at Amherst or whatever, but Kelly had a real MLB career. He was a legit major league player. So there's that, and it's not impossible that he brings a substantially different presence to the role, even though he has been working under Shelton basically this entire time, even though the two have presumably been mostly in lockstep.
They've been there. He's been there for 6 years. I'm not cutting you off, man, but I'm trying to rationalize this and be like, bro, they need something. I'm trying to be fair to Don Kelly. Do I think they're going to be good?
I'm just thinking for the rest of the season, however lost this season is, it's something interesting to maybe we'll 2 weeks from now to be like, oh, it's not interesting at all. This guy is terrible. He's even worse than Shelton. He's making tactical mistakes that even Shelton didn't make. That could also happen. But I don't know. It's all we got.
It's all we got.
They focused on only one thing, how to help this team get better. It's truly not about him, as never has been. It will need to be a little bit more now as manager, and I think he understands that. But I have so much faith in the combination of the human he is and the skills he has and the reasons he does the job. He does it for only one reason, to help the Pirates, because he believes in the Pirates and wants to deliver for Pittsburgh.
There was no interim tag on this. Is this permanent move for Don? And is there another?
Okay, watch closely.
Replace him on the bench.
It's permanent for 2025, and we're focused on 2025 and not getting past 2025.
Okay, OG, let's go conspiracy theory time. You're Mulder. I'm Scully.
Permanent for 2025. I mean, that interim. That's just another way of saying interim. Permanent for 2025. That's not permanent.
I actually,
come on.
My mind went somewhere different.
Do any interim managers stop being the interim manager the same season that they're named interim manager? Normally it's not this early in the season, but we're talking about 5 months, less than 5 months, 4.5 months of baseball season. They're not going to go out and hire somebody and have them start. So call them the interim, don't call them the interim. Permanent for 2025. They mean the same thing.
It's just more, this is what I hate about the Pirates. this is the kind of stuff, accountable together, laser focused, or whatever, it comes from every facet of this organization. They just say the dumbest, most stupid shit. And Cherington, all he had to say was, yeah, he's the interim interim manager. We're going to figure it out in 20, we'll go from there at the end of the season. That's all he had to say.
It's a weak attempt to look accountable when you're not. They're trying to use the language of accountability without actually having it apply.
My mind went directly to accountable together in 2025, and I wonder if now it's just simply I'm replacing my accountable together partner from Shelton to Kelly. And the same thing is going to happen at the end of the year. We're both going to be on the hot seat because this roster's dog shit. And it looks to me that it feels like he might know that in his mind. And maybe that's how I read it. I didn't think of your perspective as a good one. So, yeah.
And because it became clear it was permanent for 2025, we chose not to use any other words to describe it. I have a lot of confidence in him doing that job for 2025. And this just happened, really quickly. And my first conversation with Donnie about it was this morning. And so we haven't had time yet to get to all of the other potential adjustments. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some adjustments to make sure that we're supporting him, Donnie, and the entire team as best we possibly can for the remainder of 2025. It's very important to me and very important to Donnie that he's in a position to actually do the manager's job and not do the job he was just doing. So we need to make sure that we're reallocating all of the bench coach duties somehow in another direction. And I expect we'll have more clarity on that in the coming days.
You talk about the urgency to turn things around here, and obviously the manager is just one part of that. What other solutions are you looking at to turn around the on-field product specifically?
Yeah. Again, it's on all of us. It's on every person in the organization, but certainly from a baseball perspective, it starts with me. Everybody in our clubhouse is responsible. I believe we all need to do our jobs better, can do our jobs better.
I'm sorry. I don't understand what that even means. I'm so frustrated. Like, the players are playing as hard as they can. They're not good enough. So of course he's never going to throw the players under the bus. That you'll never work in this industry if you do that. So that's not going to happen. So basically, who's he talking about? Himself? I mean, if he's talking about himself, Bob, fire this loser. Again, fire this guy.
This
You're
is more
this
of
up.
that veneer of accountability. He doesn't mention anybody by name, and you wouldn't expect him to, but this has been what he says basically every time he speaks is, we need to get better. We need to get better. There's just this general, non-specific, broad platitudes about getting better. I mean, they printed it on t-shirts, the Get Better at Baseball Camp. It's all it doesn't mean anything because they don't do it.
You can't just do something. I can't say I'm muscular, I'm writing a novel. Like, you have to actually do the things, work out and write the book, and the book might not be good. I might never get ripped. Like, right? Like, it's the same mentality. You can't just walk around being like, I am doing it, OG. I'm doing whatever, I'm playing like Eddie Van Halen. Like, that doesn't mean anything. I'm not.
It's like self-affirmations. If they just say the thing that they want to have happen enough times, it'll start to come true on its own. Like, that's what I get out of this, is that there's just, I don't know, like they're trying to actualize
it's like
a
new
thing that they
agey,
can't do. Yeah.
Like a new agey corporate retreat in a
Right.
yurt.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just out there on a vision quest trying to get better at baseball,
walking around hunting base. We're hunting,
meditating on it and believing in it,
harder, believe harder. OG, I want you to believe as hard as you can. Get your believe face on, buddy. Yeah, this is
platitudes.
It's a parody of it. It's a joke. This is a joke.
I believe we will.
Okay.
I don't think you have to squint too hard to see a stronger team on the field in 2020.
Okay, Daryl Morey said this for the Sixers this year. He was like, you don't have to squint too hard, not to get to another sport, but like they are in the top 4 of the tank rankings right now. Like, to me, that's like a dead giveaway. Like, you don't have to squint to see a better team. Like, they're just wish casting this at this
Yes.
point.
Yes, that's exactly it. They're
It's hopium, as the kids say.
it's what a lot of folks were doing all winter long. Is just imagining a best case scenario for every single player just to have like a career year out of nowhere for no reason. And if everybody does that, we might win 86 games. Like that's how far off this is.
But that guy's a general manager, and we're idiots on the internet. That's a much different proposition. This guy gets paid like $1 million to do this. He's got a staff of white, shoe, clerks running behind him. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, Canario, sir. No, Brian De La Cruz, sir. Like, this is nuts. They think they're perfect, or he thinks he knows what he's doing. I mean, and he just, you guys, if you, in the media and in the fandom, if you were just enlightened as me and squinted as hard as me, you would see what I can see. Like, you're an idiot. This guy's a fucking moron.
2025, I believe we have the players in the organization that can help us do that. I also believe we have players currently on the team who are capable of providing more. Also believe I certainly have to find ways to continue to make the roster better and support the team in different ways. So it's got to be all in. It's not on one person. It's on everybody, but it certainly starts with it.
Ben, I know the release said the Pittsburgh Pirates announced. Was this your decision? Was this from above? Who's the scope of those made the decision?
Yeah, ultimately, I made a recommendation to Bob and Travis that we make this change. Bob supported that recommendation, and that all happened in the last, really over the course of the latter part of yesterday, and I met with Derek this morning.
I know
Look how dejected he looks. Look at his face. To say that. I want to say to the audience and to you, OG, I was wrong. I was adamant and hell-bent that they were going to spend the year together. So I'm wrong. I was
wrong too. I said that he would last until June.
June. We were both
2nd.
wrong.
Yeah.
But having said that we were wrong, it's time to pivot to our next thing we're going to yell about wrongly.
It's our brand.
It's what we do. Yell as loud as possible. Does it strike you that, we kind of game theoried in our last episode, one of the last episodes, about what we would do? And I said I think you and I both agreed that the card to play was this very card that we're seeing today, which is the last card to play, is that you fire your guy, even though it looks to me like Cherington did not want to do this move. His body language is bad. His language is bad. He's talking Shelton up still. He really, to me, you tell me if you think push back, it seems he did not want to do this. What do you think?
I think I agree with that. And it also doesn't work if you are doing that whole game theory thing where he thinks he can save his skin by just timing. Well, if he's going to throw Shelton under the bus, the time to do it is when he's about to bolster the roster with a return of Nick Gonzalez, the finally premiering his big offseason acquisition,
Spencer Horwitz.
Right, and Dowry Moretta is wrapping up his. I mean, that bullpen needs help. So there's a lot of. I mean, right now the team is in bad shape in terms of who's on the IL. They're missing some productive players. They're not missing Cruz, but they are missing some productive players, and more productive than what they're running out instead, certainly. So you could imagine if you wanted to kind of create the illusion that Shelton was the real problem, you would time up his dismissal with the return of better players that are coming.
That's like Game of Thrones. That's Game of Thrones, dude.
I mean, that's not a novel scenario. That's been mentioned by a bunch of folks, and
That's like Lannister level
well,
stuff
maybe
right
it's
there.
maybe that's too cute by half, but like you wonder, like, did Bob call him onto the carpet and say, "Tell me right now why I shouldn't fire your ass," and his response was, because you should fire Derek. Like, is that how this went? Like it was him or me, and in the moment, because Bob like was mortified about this 7-game losing streak and just getting swept out of everything left and right, and finally called him into the office and said, "Tell me why I shouldn't fire you right now," and accountable together went right out the window.
It went well. Certainly, it was. I don't think accountable together was a lie last year. I think it was just the truth until today, and then a different set of
Accountable
circumstances.
together is how he talked Bob into keeping Shelton last fall,
and him.
and well, maybe, but yeah. So like that was the accountable together was just like that was the necessary construct for getting through November and getting through the winter. And now every man for himself.
It's crazy because I really thought he would stick to Shelton like glue, like he did in his past career, and I think that tendency was still there even today. He just looks like he didn't want to do it to me, and to me, I'm just still seeing like a guy who refuses. He's like stubborn in a way that was unpredictable. I did not predict him to be this stubborn, if that makes sense. He did not seem like that would be in his MO. He seems very stubborn.
No, you're not going to,
Look at his stubborn face.
That's the right term. But I mean, you brought him back last year when probably a lot of people maybe thought you shouldn't. You got a reason for that. What was your reason for bringing him back and then making the change so quickly this year?
Yeah. I think back to last year, and as of the beginning of August, we believed that we were headed in a positive direction. We believed we were making progress. Not enough, not fast enough, but we believed that we were making progress, and we thought there was evidence for that. And then we had a very difficult August, and that led to a difficult end of the season last year. But as I look back at that, I felt like for most of 2024, we were seeing that progress, and then we got punched in the face in the last 2 months. And we all were learning from that. We all did learn.
What does that mean?
A lot from that, and I believed at the time that we were capable of continuing the progress from July, and that we could overcome the difficult thing that happened in August and keep this thing going forward. And I believed that Shelty had the will to do that and was going to continue to do all the work he needed to do to be a part of that. And so that was the recommendation I made. And what's happened now is that we've now had a little bit more of a month of very difficult performance.
What was that?
Yes, for those listening at home, it seems the Pirates had messed up their audio and they had the room mics on instead of the podium mic. And then
Are you
someone figured
kidding
it
me?
out. At 7 minutes and 40 seconds, someone was like, "Hey, maybe we should hit the button on the microphone."
Are you kidding me? They
It's very
called a
Pirates.
press conference and didn't turn on the microphone until they were almost 8 minutes into the press conference.
Yes. Yeah.
I
It's-
am-
whatever. It's it's probably an intern, OG.
I used to work in television. This
You
this
did.
kind of mistake.
We're learning about each other every day.
I mean, I not like I wasn't on like live crews. I mean, I guess like way back, but
You were a
like
newscaster in your past life.
no. But this is inexcusable. You can't not have the microphone on, and you can't not have anybody notice for 7 minutes who's running this show. This is terrible.
Bob didn't pay anybody. I don't know what to tell you, man.
This
Maybe
is,
it was Derek Shelton. Maybe he was back there messing with the microphone cords before he was
That
left
is-
the building.
that is I can't believe that.
I can.
I mean, I
But it's going to
can.
be
But
nice to hear his stupid answers loud and clear in HD now.
yeah, this not won't sound like he's talking through a toilet paper tube.
That adds on top of the difficult ending from 2024. And I think it's the combination of those two things that ultimately brought us to today.
And you talked about everyone going to do their jobs better, to get to the product you guys want to get to? Do you feel you're still the right person for your job?
Yeah. I feel
God,
just as much energy and commitment to this job as I have from the day I got it.
Oh my
Can you
God, when
please
he
tell
says
us
the
why
day
we
I
shouldn't
got it.
fire your ass?
The day I got it, his face. I'm going to rewind. Maybe I should. I don't want to mess up the stream. His face is so bad here.
I
Look
do
at
this
it.
job only to serve the Pirates.
Only
because
I don't get paid. I don't get paid, OG. I'm Ben Cherington. I never got paid. I just serve the Red Sox, and I'm just happen to just be serving. I showed up in Pittsburgh. I'm serving the Pirates. I'm I'm slave to Bob Nutting. This is how, maybe it's true. He is just serving the Pirates. Bob is cheap. We were wrong. He doesn't even pay his GM, apparently.
I want to be.
He pays him in
part of
exposure.
delivering.
He's paying him in, like he's just paying him in nutting bucks or whatever, like, West Virginia dollars.
A team that our fans are proud of. That's it, period. That's the reason to get up.
Well, then you're not getting paid because I'm not proud of this team.
We're not
You
proud of
failed.
it. We're not proud of it, Ben.
I'm sad. It's
We're
bad,
deeply,
Ben.
deeply embarrassed.
Your serving the Pirates isn't good enough, and that's not a real thing. And just get better players. Shut up about all this crap and get better players.
That's the reason to come in here, do the work to do that. I believe that's going to happen. I know that there's frustration that it hasn't happened, and maybe anger. That
on this
it hasn't
show,
happened
there's anger on this show right now. I'm angry at your dumb face.
yet. I believe it's going to happen. I believe strongly I am going to be a part of making it happen. I have
That was the least effective sales pitch I've ever heard. He laughed his way through it.
A lot of confidence in our baseball operations group. We got to get better. I know that, period.
Oh, arrogant.
At the end of last year, you said you and Derek Shelton would be accountable together coming into this season. Was there anything that changed between then and 38 games into this year where the product hasn't been exactly what?
No, we're both accountable, and I am still accountable right now. We were in this together every minute up until this morning, and it makes it a very difficult conversation. It makes it a very difficult choice. It makes it a very difficult conversation. Certainly not lost on me that my part of that accountability, if I had done my job perfectly for 5 years, might not be meeting with you today. That's certainly possible.
Smug.
So
what a smug
hold on.
face and answer. Woo, go ahead, OG.
If I had done my job perfectly, I wouldn't be. Dude, there is a lot of daylight between perfection and what you have produced in your job these last 5+ years. This is like spousal abuse stuff. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. It's like nobody expects you to be perfect. Like, we're not holding you to a standard of perfect. We would like to be like a little below league average with the hitting, please, instead of the worst. Can we maybe, instead of using perfect as the standard, use a little below average as the standard? That would be a big improvement from the absolute worst possible. Like, give me a break, man. If I had been
arrogant
perfect,
here.
no, but oh my God,
He's arrogant, and you know
that's
why?
awful.
My opinion is they picked on the Accountable Together press conference scab. His body language changed. His chin went up. He's just nasty. He's like a little, doing this with his, kind of got that attitude. Like, oh, okay, you want to talk about accountable together? I'm still accountable together. Yeah, I'm still here.
We're accountable
right
together
now.
separately because now he's fired and I'm not. So
he just looks like
you're not still accountable together. Now you're not together. You fired him.
It's just the energy here is weird to me, and I just think that, I'm 100% certain that Ben went to Bob and said, I'm going to run it back. I think there's internal improvements here. And Bob's like, okay. But, don't fire Derek. I will vouch for him. We can do it together. At the end of the year, give us, reevaluate us at the end of the year. All the things we just said. I think that actually happened. And I think he is just so shell-shocked by this that it didn't go according to his plan. He was so confident in his own stupidity because he's got the clerks behind him with the analytics, and they're just like a bunch of Muppets reading off like checklists. Like, yes, Valdez, sir. Yes, many red dots. Tons of red dots. Oh, yes, sir. We have one Alexander Canario for you. And they give
This is
many red
again.
dots.
This is
He
where
thought this
this
was a
is
plan.
Nutting's failure. Well, this is Nutting's failure. Nutting's failure is to allow himself to be talked into that, if that's what happened, and to at this point not rip off the Band-Aid and just get rid of them both.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
Now he's got potentially a loose cannon that could feel like he needs to do ever more rash things, thinking that he can save his job when he shouldn't even be able to think that. And if you're gonna fire him at the end of the season, you should have fired him at the end of last season. The next best time to fire him is now. Like, if you leave him around there to just linger and feel ever more threatened, like, he can do some damage here. He can harm the franchise moving forward on his way out. So
I would agree.
What are you
with that.
keeping him for?
I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. And I don't know if Bob is just paralyzed because he's put so much trust in these people to a fault, and he can't believe this is happening in a sense, and maybe he just doesn't feel like he can make that change because, like, I'm 6 years in. Maybe we need to keep seeing it through. I'm laser focused on all the dumb shit that he says. I don't know. It's just
And
bizarre.
he needs people to run the team like that. Like, you can't just fire the entire 450 people that work for the team. Like, you got to have somebody doing something. Are you gonna? They got to draft some players here in the summer. There's a trade deadline that, I mean, you don't have to trade people, but if you're going to be losing the way that they're losing, you kind of owe it to the future of the franchise to try and sell what you can when it's time to sell. So you do need to have somebody running the team, but it can't be the guy that you're going to fire a month and a half after that. So what are you doing?
Right. You can't fire everybody down there, because if you did that, who would hit the patrons? Who would hit the paying fans of the belt? Who would give you a whooping when you go to PNC Park if you fire everybody? That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
I own that completely. This is not all on Shelty. And I believe that it
kind of is. He's the one that got fired.
This was a choice, however difficult. This was a choice we needed to make. And I certainly feel accountable going forward.
How did that conversation go, Shelty?
Went great.
As you'd expect from Shelty. He's a pro.
I fired him. It was fun.
Obviously, we've gotten to know each other really well.
Look at his eyes.
It was
he's sad.
Somber moment.
He didn't want to do this.
He handled it like a pro. I don't think he was completely shocked. He's a grown up. He's been in the game for a long time. He knows what can happen when the performance is the way it has been recently. So it was a relatively short conversation. I'm sure I'll follow up on them again at some point.
Ben, you guys
I'm
talk.
sure I'm going to hire him in my next spot.
I'm sure he really wants to hear from you.
Yeah, that's also true. You don't want to hear from your ass.
Talked in spring training leading up to the season about winning on the margins. I probably argue that hasn't happened to anybody's satisfaction so far. Why not? What is
because we're
led
bad.
to the issues that have
because we can't hit.
It's an interesting question because
we're terrible.
I do believe that's certainly part of what has to happen in Pittsburgh. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly part of what has to happen. And when I think about that statement, where I first go is, okay, are we playing defense? Are we playing defense really well? Are we running the bases? By and large, we have done those things. Our team defense.
That's general manager speak for the team sucks. He can never throw players under the bus, people. Never. He'll never work in this industry again. But when he says, are we playing defense? Are we running the base paths hard? Question mark, right? It's like this kind of question is lingering in the air. That's executive speak for, we haven't done those things. And then he quickly follows it up with, well, I think we have, of course, with the implication that everybody knows, because they've all watched the games, that it hasn't been done. And that is his way of saying to the Pirates Nation and to people around that, yeah, we have not done those things.
Has been good, at least as far as our measurement is concerned. Our team defense has been good this year. Our base running largely has been good.
Right. No, it hasn't.
We haven't executed perfectly in every situation. We've had some combination of some, difficult bullpen moments or, bad luck bullpen moments, or maybe occasions when we didn't have like our best guys out there, our best guys weren't available for whatever reason and cost us. So that's could be winning on the margins, I suppose. But the biggest thing is just run scoring. We got to score more runs, and some of that's winning on the margins. Some of that's executing in certain offensive situations and doing that consistently. I agree with that, but some of that's just players getting to career norms, and some of that's young players leveling up, finding another level, and some of that's the roster just getting stronger, and that's on me. So I agree that we need to win on the margins. I don't personally believe that that's the reason that we are where we are. I think we have been doing some of winning on the margins, probably not enough.
Oh my God. This
let's
is the
talk
most
about this
circular,
winning on the
stupid
margins.
It's so dumb. It's that we're even having this discussion, that he's actually having to talk about this stuff.
Winning on the margins, is that code for we're not good enough and we have to hope, again, going back to the hopium stuff from the winter, we're not good enough, and all we can possibly hope for is everybody plays out of their mind and has a career year at the same time because we're not good enough. We don't have enough talent on the roster, on the team, to actually compete. So what is winning on the margins? Winning on the margins is doing more than you're supposed to. Like getting more value out of what's there unexpectedly. Like everybody has jerks and profars 2024 where they're not expected to do much, and then out of nowhere they're all a 5-win player. Turns out he was on roids, but you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what had to happen with
Well, he says
most
that
of the roster. Like that's the winning in the margin. Yeah, like that's never going to happen. That's not how baseball works.
Well, he says that's what has to happen in places like Pittsburgh. He actually catches himself from saying more, which I was more fascinated with that little. When he was like, among other things, or he has something else in his mind that he wants to say that he doesn't. Which if I could pin him down right now, but what do you mean by that? Let's unpack that, Ben, because what he's really saying, I agree with you. He's saying winning on the margins is code word for we need every player to play out of their minds at all times as a Pittsburgh Pirate, because we don't have a budget to buy real players. So guys like Alexander Canario have to give us like a 1.3 WAR season, and Exxon Valdez has to give us a 2-win season or something, right?
And Manuel Valdez won in the margins in April. His career norms, right? His career norms are a below average player. He puts together in April where most of the month he's an above average hitter by OPS plus. Great. You got a great month out of him. He's probably not going to do that all year long. That's a guy winning in the margins. Unfortunately, they're not all going to do it at the same time. So that's why this whole concept is nonsense. You're not going to get everybody playing out of their mind all at the same time for 6 months straight. It doesn't happen. So this winning in the margins noise, like, it's a fantasy. And I think it is code. And I'm sick of hearing it because it's
not real.
It doesn't work. It's fake.
It's fake. I agree. And I think for Cherington, winning on the margins means what we just described. I think for Shelton and for Don Kelly, winning on the margins means like, you cover first base in a particular situation, as a pitcher, and make sure you're in the, you're backing up the catcher in this particular
good fundamentals
situation.
Would be some nice winning. Yeah. Like, do we see that though?
No, we don't see that though. And so I think each party in this discussion has a different takeaway from winning in the margins. I think he alludes to this because he says, "Oh, my mind goes to winning in the margins," and he starts this diatribe. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a very frustrating concept to unpack. It's like largely nonsense. It's more executive speak. The one thing I've noticed about Cherington in this press conference thus far is that he's not holding himself account. He says, "I'm accountable. Yeah, I guess it's my fault."
But yeah, he pays it lip service, but like
he doesn't
there's
actually
no-
say, "Hey, I messed this up in year 2021, Pittsburgh. You know, I might get fired this year, and that's on me." And but these trades, the teardown, it was a mistake because I couldn't execute it correctly, and that's on me. And I'm gonna, if he had just, I realize no one's ever gonna say that. I get
No, of
that,
course
but,
not.
But maybe he could have, or shown some contrite, like some of these things didn't work out. We should have done a better job. That's not like I could even give him a little bit more like leeway had he even touched it, but he's not even touching any of that stuff. Again,
He won't. And he would never say that here, and he definitely not while he's still in his position. That's the kind of candid stuff that you get
off the
years
record,
later when he's out of the game,
right? He writes an
and
autobiography.
right, like that's like when you have a politician that's done running for office, and they finally like you hear them speak, and it's like, where was this? I would have voted for that, and it's like, yeah, they can't talk like that when they're running
Right.
for office because
But
it's
it's like
different.
it's like he's saying, "Oh, my adjuncts and my departments were perfect. Our scouting guys are great. It's not my fault that, he just he doesn't get into like any like nitty gritty. It's just very frustrating because he just acts as though his shit doesn't stink. In other
Well, so
words, And
he's like,
I'm tired
well,
of it.
he's been told to go out there and face the music.
Right.
He doesn't actually want to do it. He doesn't want to be contrite. He doesn't want to actually make this his fault. He's just been told to go out there and do his word vomit thing so that we can all say that we did this press conference and move right along.
And
So let's move right
that's
along.
over with. Let's get back to the losing.
Exactly.
And there's other reasons why we're losing games. Well, again, the big one is just we're not scoring enough runs. And I understand you can say, like, if you don't get a runner in from third base with less than 2 outs, I suppose you can call that a sort of fundamental or like a situational a situation to execute on, and maybe that's winning on the margins. But it's also just part of the overall offense. It's just been a bit of a perfect storm. Again, we have some players who are not performing to their standard. We also have a number of players who, at least based on our measurements, are hitting into a lot of bad luck and are hitting below what the expected should be. We have had injuries, no doubt, that have made it harder to keep a full complement of players in the deepest lineups we can out there. And then, there's still opportunity over time, and this is on me, to just make the roster better, period. So the combination of all those things adds up to not scoring enough runs, and that's been the biggest culprit. It's not a lack of effort. It's not a lack of effort from the hitting group or the individual players. We just got to get to better run scoring.
His body language there's. Sorry, go ahead.
He's mentioned a bunch of times about improving the roster whenever he has these pressers where he's being asked about why the team is terrible. Like the improving of the roster, we talked about this before. It needed to be happening all along. What's he going to do now? There's nothing he can do right now to improve the roster. The roster is the roster. The organization has the players it has. AAA has what it has. Doesn't have, like, he's not going to just like discover a better shortstop that has been here all along and is going to turn the season around. And he's not going to trade for somebody in May. Like those trades don't happen. And so what could he possibly do? He's just saying stuff that doesn't mean anything. You can't make the roster better in May. You just can't. The roster's the roster. It's been set in stone ever since like the middle of February, except for Andrew Heaney. Like that, there's nothing. What are you going to do? There's nobody down on the farm that you're calling up. There's no bats down there. How can you make the roster better?
Excellent questions. Ben Cherington, do you have any thoughts?
Then when you make a decision like this, do you take the temperature of any of the guys in the clubhouse or any assistant coaches, or is this strictly performance based?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question.
I mean, are you taking, are you asking any
on
guys
the
in the
decision.
clubhouse? Yeah, for the
No, I mean, look, in this position, you get all kinds of feedback from all kinds of people, and some of that's direct and some of it's indirect. And it's my job to process all of that the best I can, and try to put it into context and make the recommendations that are best for the Pirates. So feedback comes from a lot of places, including players. That comes over time. I haven't had any individual conversations with players recently about that. We're observing the team and how we're performing, and the player group, from everything that I can see and tell, is really trying together to stay together and stay in it and be accountable. And that gives me some confidence that we will get to a better team in 2025.
What is it about?
That translation is, this group isn't very good, but they're trying their asses off. They're doing the best they can, hoping we can get a dead cat bounce. Fair?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
The players that they have.
I'm certain they're trying hard.
The stuff that he said earlier about guys not playing to their career norms, or young guys needing to step up and be better, that's all true. That's all perfectly valid. But you need to expect that stuff to happen to some degree. Every single team in baseball has guys not playing to their career norms. Every single team in baseball has young guys who are scuffling a little bit early and haven't quite broken out yet. The difference is they also have guys who are performing. They don't only have guys who are playing below their career norms. They don't only have young players who haven't figured it out yet. That's the difference. But they also score some runs because they're getting on base more, they're hitting more, they're slugging a lot more. So the stuff that the Pirates aren't doing is the big stuff. The little stuff, the winning in the margins, you can't just depend on the little stuff. You got to also have the big stuff, and that's what they lack.
Well said. Well said. I agree with all of that. It's like Cherington is almost like cosplaying like a general manager. It's like he's been programmed to say all the general manager things with no substance. In my mind, he just says it's like AI chatbot. Like, AI, say some general manager stuff. Winning in the margins. We expect the players to win in the margins, and our batting group is doing the best they can do, and surely that falls on me. Right? It's just random crap. It's
the same every
me.
time.
It's the same every time.
About Don's personality that you think he can get the best out of everybody? I mean,
Don's really
explain
nice.
why
He's
he's
cool,
in
I'm
the
sure.
role.
He's from Mount Lebanon. His
What makes you
answer.
think that he's the type of guy that can kind of get the best out of these guys and get them to perform the way they want?
Yeah, I think he's got certainly a calm about him. He's played in Pittsburgh. He's certainly of Pittsburgh. He understands the uniqueness of the place, and
to me is a big statement. This is my Yinzer diatribe as a person who lives here still. This town is obsessed with their sports executives and coaches being from here. Just full stop. I don't know. You live, you live out of the state currently. Your heart is in Pittsburgh, but your body and your soul is not in Pittsburgh.
My corporal form is absent.
Soon it will be back here. We'll get you back here. But is this how it is in the rest of the world? Do they do this everywhere else? Because here they do it with pit football for a while. Dave, we got to get that Dave Wannstedt down there. He'll fix him up real good. Like that Donnie Kelly. Man, that Donnie Kelly, you get him whipped up real good. You get him in shape.
Cower Power
from Crafton Borough. Cower Power went to Carlington, 76. it's just an obsession that we have. And when Cherington said that, I like gasped when I watched it the first time, because I thought it took what I'm reading is that it took him 6 years to realize, oh, this isn't Boston, this isn't Toronto, this isn't a metropolitan place where people are accustomed to diversity and different thoughts. They are insular and tribal and want one of their own, and I'm not one of their own, and Shelton's not one of their own. Uh-oh. And I think they might think that there's some play in the fact that it sells to the fans that Donnie Kelly's that Neil Walker's brother-in-law. So, that goes a long way in Pittsburgh. It's 6 degrees of Pittsburgh here quite a bit. I remember my family going down to Rehoboth Beach and finding Yinzers at the beach in the 80s when I was a kid, and my dad knowing people and striking up a conversation with some random guy on the beach in 1989. And they'd be like, oh, you live in Ross Township? I'm from over here. And they'd be like chatting. We'd have friends on the beach. We exchanged Christmas cards with some people for years, and we didn't even know because we met them at the beach one time. And it's the same. It's like that same thing where Cherington's starting to dawn on Cherington in year 6, just like it dawned on Travis Williams. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. And you can't just fuck with the Bucko bricks. It's like it's dawning on them that this isn't Boston. This isn't New York Islanders. This isn't the Toronto Blue Jays.
I think Donnie Kelly would get much more of a honeymoon with that specific thought about, like, he's from here, he's one of us. That honeymoon would be way longer and sweeter if he were named the manager through the winter and there wasn't any actual baseball getting played where everybody's already completely pissed off and at their wits' end about this team. Like, if they don't come out here and win this series against the Braves and start winning some ball games, it doesn't matter where Donnie Kelly's from. It doesn't matter how much of a Yinzer he is or how much he's Neil Walker's brother-in-law or he's from Lebo. It doesn't matter. If he's not winning, it won't matter. Like, I don't think he's going to get that, like, special benefit of the doubt from being from here. Look how quickly they turned on Bednar.
I get that, and I do largely agree with you, but I still think that there is this currency that maybe his honeymoon won't be. There's still, let's put it this way, there's still people that think, and I'll use Pitt football for an example because I'm familiar with it, and there's a certain amount of insular. The Pirates are fairly insular. Like, the Steelers are a brand that's a global brand at this point, right? The Penguins are owned by a conglomerate that owns European soccer teams at this point. So there are still people that were clamoring for Dave Wannstedt to be the athletic director at Pitt football. So even though he was a loser coach with loser energy, who had loser teams, 15 years later, he's still from Pittsburgh. So Donnie Kelly, yeah, he might be a pariah, and his honeymoon might be short when they get swept by the Braves. And, Matt Olson hits like 4 home runs in that series, which could theoretically happen. But like in 5 years, someone's going to be, I think we should hire Donnie Kelly back. Like, people are asking for Neil Huntington back sometimes because, he managed to settle in here after a while too. Whereas I feel like Cherington never figured this out. And this is part of why he's having a hard time here. And people aren't like relating to him in any way. The winning aside, if he had won, we wouldn't give a shit about this. We would be all over this. This guy would be a fucking hero. But like, when you don't win, though, you have to be from Pittsburgh. Does that make sense?
I think you get more grace when
you get more grace.
Pittsburgh. You get more grace. I'm just saying it's gonna be a very short fuse because at the end of the day, we want to see improvement. We want to see. We don't want to be embarrassed every time we turn on the Pirate game.
That's correct. We don't. I'm tired of being embarrassed by the Pirates. That's really the fundamental psychological scar. We're embarrassed by the Pirates. They embarrass the city. I do think that with Donnie Kelly, as long as Cherington is here and we have a scapegoat in Cherington, he'll get more grace. Even if he loses, he'll get more grace than I think you expect, because Cherington will be the scapegoat. Nutting is a scapegoat. They'll always blame Nutting and Cherington. They'll give him more. He's one of us. He's in our tribe kind of vibes. And then plus you can always say, well, like Shelton's gone. This guy's cleaning up Shelton's mess. There's a certain amount of that could go for 18 months or so, I think. So, he just left them guys from Shelton. Shelton just left him. He didn't know how to coach. Shelton don't know how to coach. So I think there's some of that going on there where
We'll see. Yeah, that could be.
well,
That could be.
and we're just hungry for that energy. So we've always been hungry for that.
And cares about it a lot. I think he's got a teacher's heart. I think he wakes up thinking about how to help someone else.
OG, I wake up every day thinking about you, by the way.
And
Likewise.
that does not mean that it's gonna miraculously turn into massively different results right away. That's not how the game works. We know that, right? But over time, believe that his approach and personality and style can have a positive effect on our players. But just as importantly, we got to support him, and I've got to do my job better. We all have to do our jobs better so that he can do his as well.
Okay, I don't want to, I interrupt everything, but like, what is that? What does Cherington support? He talks about support. We have to support him better. We have to support him more. We have to support each other. Are they not doing that? Like,
It's just like the roster stuff earlier. This is just him saying meaningless words to sound like he's helping. He's not doing anything. What can he do? He did all his damage over the winter. And
I mean, the
now
coaches can say, can you give us a spray chart on Alexander Canario historically and let us know like what every angle was vis-a-vis the pitch thrown and where it landed on the field? And is Cherington like, nah, I'm not doing that. No, my people won't get that to you. Like,
yeah, like
they're already supporting them. They're already
Yeah.
supporting them.
just trying to
Before
get
the
credit.
offseason, the decisions, you guys talked about last season we need to score more runs. The decisions were to kind of make changes on the coaching staff. You didn't, outside of trading for Spencer and then getting Tommy and Adam at the end of, basically at the end of free agency, you didn't really do much to upgrade the major league roster. Why? When you look, have you done enough to improve
that
the
eye
personnel
blink
on this
there?
team to be competitive? to
That
where
sassy
you
eye
need to
blink?
go?
Does, yeah.
Well, there's certainly more that we wanted to do. There's always more in an offseason that
Sassy
you want
smirk.
to do, and
Look at that face.
what a reason can't get to, can't execute on,
Smug.
whatever. There can be different reasons for that. I think we came off of last year, yes, certainly knowing that offensive production was going to be important. We needed to take a step forward. We wanted to add to the offensive group, add meaningfully if we could. There was few spots on the roster that it made sense to do that in. We re-signed Kutch as a first step, and that was probably somewhat.
I was reading one of a sports writer in Pittsburgh who said that he interviewed Kutch at Bradenton, and Kutch and Nutting were standing next to each other and said, but both agreed that Bob was responsible for Kutch being here. So Cherington had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
according to some.
he does not get to claim credit for having Andrew McCutchen on the roster. Like,
Right.
if anything, I could imagine him like pushing back on it when it was 2 years ago, when Nutting would have approached him and said, "I want you to find a place for Andrew McCutchen on this
So
roster."
he can finish his career here.
Yeah, so
At a
and he's going to
reasonable
be here as
price.
long as he wants to, and you don't have a say in the matter. And
It's
he's
just
going
that
to try and take
Cherington
credit
is-
for it because Kutch is one of the few players that's actually performing so far this year.
Right. It's just arrogant. He's so arrogant. This is the part of the press conference where he just recaps what he did, so we don't have to interject too much because it's just a bunch of garbage. But this is the place of the press conference where he should have been contrite instead of arrogant.
Somewhat expected. And then once Kutch is in place, then you sort of look at the rest of the team, what your resources are, and what can the targets be, and you go after those. Center field, and we know Reynolds is going to play in one of the corner spots at that. If we look back to that next offseason, well, all right, well then we want to add to a different corner spot. We know we've got guys like Sawinski and others who are capable of stepping up and producing spots, but we want and ultimately sign Tommy and felt like his track record of performance and the mentality and toughness he would bring to our team made sense. It's been a rough start, and it's not anything, he's working his tail off and doing everything he can to get on track. He hasn't gotten to the level that he expects of himself yet. Elsewhere, look around the infield. Obviously, we knew Key coming back was going to be important. There was a ton of effort by him in the offseason and by our staff to make sure he's coming into spring training in a good spot physically. That's mostly held up. We know the defense is going to be there. We're hoping for him to be physically in a spot where he can take another step offensively. And he's had his moments. Still see potential there offensively. We haven't seen that next level out of him yet. It could still be there. We had traded for Izzy to solidify the shortstop position. Feel like he mostly has done that. Second base, we come into the spring training feeling like between the two Nicks, and
What other Nick?
Tree
York.
and Frazier, we
God.
have enough quality and enough competition there that we can have a good second base solution. A lot of those guys have been hurt or held up by something. And then, we traded for Spencer, knowing that first base was a hole last year and wanting to upgrade. Unfortunately, we had a tough setback in January with the injury. He's on his way back now. We've tried to supplement that with Endy playing there, and then he got hurt, and Valdi playing there, and he's fighting through something now. So it's that's why I mentioned, a lot of things happening that have made it harder to get to that deepest roster deepest lineup. And at the catching position, we felt like
I feel like part of this is what he sold Bob on right here. This is what he was selling Bob on.
Well, this is the stuff that we were selling ourselves on. Maybe not you and I, but like fans.
Some other people on the internet were, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a lot of it that you could, if you imagine, if they all come out and put out their best work, and they all do it consistently and they never slump, and if then we've got a shot. Like, that was the path. And of course that's not going to happen. The way that he goes through this litany of excuses, almost, they don't even wash, because a lot of those, you're not really missing Horwitz in this first month because you got unexpectedly good production out of your replacement first baseman.
Some random guy you got off the waiver wire.
Right. So this is how bad the team is. If everybody were healthy, they'd still be this bad. Add up all of the production on the field, it's not all that different if everybody's healthy. It just isn't. So
it's not. And this is the part of the press conference where Cherington should have been he just basically is reading a script that was programmed into his pea brain, in which he just regurgitates the dumbass shit that he did over the season, which we all know. And this is the time where he could have said, this offseason didn't go according to plan. And that's on me. I tried to make some trades, and it takes two to tango. They didn't work out. Obviously he can't say these things, because then he is insinuating that the players aren't good enough, which then makes it seem like their general manager is shitting on. So yeah, I get it. But this is the time to be as contrite as possible far that you can be. And he is doing none of that. And he's just being an arrogant prick who's just repeating the shit that we already fucking know. And it's dumb as hell. Between
Bart and Henry and Endy, we have, three really talented guys there, and that there's going to be a good solution out of that group. Still feel there can be. That's a long-winded explanation to why we felt some optimism that we would have a stronger group. Some things have gotten in the way of that. Injuries, underperformance. It's also early May. We may still have
a much
stronger group, a much stronger position group in 2025. I think we can.
You said at the beginning of that there was more you wanted to do?
Trades, free agency, sure. There's always more that you chase down in the offseason than you do.
For clarity purposes, there was more that you wanted to do this past offseason than you actually.
Well, that would be true in every offseason.
Okay.
There's always more things you chase down than you actually do. And specifically on the offensive side, there were corner offensive targets that we chased down that we didn't get. And that kind of thing is going to happen in any offseason.
Ben, there's been a lot of negative
Watch his face here.
in this early part of the season with this organization. And I realize that it doesn't directly impact play on the field.
Oh.
Does this negativity seep into the clubhouse at all when you get, when it just seems to be one bad headline after another?
I don't know. I think the losing is what people care about inside the clubhouse. I think the results on the field are generally mostly what people care about. In the clubhouse, I believe there's a high level of accountability for that. That's what's weighing on people more than anything else. And I believe that, number one, we just want to win. All of us, we want to win. We're competitive. And it's not happening as much as we needed to and want to. But I do believe, I certainly speak for myself, I believe this group wants to do it for Pittsburgh.
I mean, I want to do a lot of things. I want to write the great American novel. I want to fly to space, maybe. I want to be Eddie Van Halen. I want to sing like Freddie Mercury. These things are not happening, OG. I want to be a major leaguer too at age 44. I want you to be a major leaguer with me, and we can vie. I can be, you want to be the catcher or the pitcher? What do you want to do? I want to do lots of things. I want to travel the world. I want to eat sushi in Japan. I could go on with this forever because it's so asinine. It's so dumb. Just saying their wish they're wish casting. It's pathetic.
They just like us for real.
I believe we want to deliver to our fans what they want. I understand there's a lot of frustration and some anger out there about that right now.
Do you have a message to them as far as, the ones who have given up on the season already for the fans? A message for the fans?
We're all ears, baby, because I feel like you might have been in our conversations listening. You might watch this podcast. We are dead inside.
Oh, hello. Yes, this is one who is giving up on the season. I'm listening.
I believe we have the will to make this better, and I believe we will. And
He inadvertently used the "We will" slogan from 2007.
Long-time giver-upper, first-time listener. I said it earlier. He was told to go face the music. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong, and he's just up there just kneeling on the ball until all of these annoying reporters leave him alone.
Okay, great. This is hard. It's pathetic.
I don't believe you have to squint too hard to see a better team in 2025. I really. I'm not blind to the fact we've dug ourselves a hole.
You dug yourself a hole, you fucking dickhead. It's like a 10-game hole. You have a 1% chance to make the playoffs now.
It's a 14-game hole. They're 12. What are they? 12 and 26.
I was trying to be kind. after I called him a dickhead.
They'd have to go on a 2-week win streak just to get 3 games under 500.
That's okay. So Cherington's blind is what he's actually saying. Maybe he's a blind man. He's blind.
A hole. You're like the 3rd worst team in baseball, and you might be the 2nd worst team in baseball.
They've dug themselves to China, as we used to do when we were kids.
There is a case to be made that the White Sox are a better team than the Pirates.
Maybe.
And we got to climb out of that. No way to do it but a pitch at a time. We all have a role in that.
Well, what does a successful season look like for the Pirates in 2025 from this point
You don't fire me?
forward?
I'm just focused
I still have a job.
on right now and tomorrow. I think we can. I think that will become more clear as we get deeper into the season. I think our focus right now is I want to support Donnie in any way we can. I want to support this team in any way we can. I want to hunt the things that'll make us incrementally better. Certainly, do everything we can there. I want to help our injured players get back. I want to help. I want to do everything we can to give ourselves a better chance to play better on the field. And let's focus on that for a while. And we'll get back to the season question a little bit later.
You stated that a lot of this falls on you, earlier in the presser, and also that you want to do everything you can to help Donnie. How concerned are you about your own sort of job security at this point. I mean, I think there's been a lot of criticism, both you and Shelty, and play to go around to begin the season. How have you reacted to, I guess, the impact on?
You're in it for this long and the results aren't there yet. That's gonna be there. And simple terms, like, it's just about winning more games. We got to find a way to win more games. Like, you can do the forensic thing on every front office in baseball and find things that go well and find things that don't go well. We got to improve. We got to improve our results. I do this job because I love the work and I love the opportunity to help the Pirates and serve in a way that serves our fans, that delivers to our fans. I don't do it for any other reason.
Do you believe you're doing that?
What an arrogant prick. The end of this pisses me off when he shakes his head that way and he like cavalierly just goes, you the okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
is that enough
I'm
for you
sorry."
people? Can I leave now?
Right.
You've got your pound of flesh. I remain very concerned about what kind of harm he could do if he ever truly realizes that he's toast. Or I'm struggling to understand retaining him when he could do so much harm. It's like if you knew about General Ripper in Doctor Strangelove, and he's in charge of the nukes, and you'll just let him hang around for a little bit for a little while, even after he should be dismissed, and we'll just trust him to keep those nukes safe and not do anything rash. Like, that's what this feels like to me. Like that Bob is putting way too much trust in somebody who he could do a lot of harm. Like, all he has to do is like file some paperwork with Major League Baseball central office, and O'Neill Cruz isn't a Pirate anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think he might stay into 2026 now, the more I think about it. I honestly believe. I'm starting to take off my own biases. I think Cherington has a scapegoat now, and there's probably a pretty good chance that Bob still holds Ben accountable together at the end of the season, and maybe he does fire him at the end of the season. And we've seen a disjointed firing from Bob before. We saw Bob fuck around in 2019, and he let his coach go, and then like the next day he let the president go, and the next day the GM went. So it's quite possible we could wake up like next week and see Cherington be gone.
That's true.
So I that's completely within the realm of possibility, and I'm prepared for that. But then there's another part of me that's like, I think he has given him so much faith and credit that they got their pound of flesh from Shelton, and now it's about letting this guy see what he can do with a new manager. I don't think Bob's a ball knower. When I say he's not a ball knower, I think he gives the utmost amount of like faith to these industry insiders, and they lead him around a bunch.
Man,
And
what a fatal mistake that would be, keeping him around. And also, like, if you keep him around, does that make Donnie Kelly the manager beyond the end of the year? Or are they going to go on?
This manager
a
is
search?
not going to get 50 home runs from Alexander fucking Canario and some other dog shit. Like, I don't give a shit if Jesus Christ is the manager. He ain't going to get this roster to hit.
And there are some coaching deficiencies on the staff as well. Like, are we really happy with the defense that gets played in the infield and the outfield? If not, then Tariq Brock and Mike Ribello, regardless of what they do as base coaches, like those are the guys that coach the defense. So if we're not happy with the defensive fundamentals around the diamond, those guys got to go.
Right. Cherington's, so his drafting isn't great. They're going to allow him to oversee another one. Their image is in the tank from, you had Surfside, Bucko Bricks, a kid fall out of the fucking stands, and he had an usher beat a dude with a belt. This is off the chart. I mean, it's not on Ben, but the whole fucking team has an image problem. You are one of the worst teams in baseball, and yet they felt this was the only change they needed to make. So, I mean, Ben must be like fucking Rasputin down there. You know, he's got pictures of Bob and a goat or something like that, fucking a goat. And he's I don't know what I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't think of any. I don't understand it. I
I
don't
mean,
understand
Bob is in
this.
his thrall. Like he's enchanted him.
I feel like that's Cherington. He's whispering in Bob's ear. I was shocked that Cherington didn't get fired today. I think there's a 70-30 chance he gets fired at the end of the season. I think the 30% chance of him staying on past this season is growing in my mind. I'm starting to realize there might be a chance he stays because he made his case. Well, if you squint hard enough, Bob, we're going to get Spencer back. And Bob's like, is Spencer a good player? Oh, he's a good player. Oh, yeah, he's a great player. We got him from Toronto. I'm good friends with those guys in Toronto, Bob. Let me tell you. He's like, yeah. Well, isn't he a bit old, Ben? Isn't he a 27-year-old guy? Isn't he kind of like I think it's called a platoon? Don't worry about that, Bob. Don't worry about that. We got some Knicks. We got like 50 Knicks playing second base. You know, it's if you squint hard enough, Bob, we got a winner here. And if you fire me, the next guy might trade these dudes. And you got to start again.
Hey, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point because I've been pounding the table that it's a fait accompli, that this is a tear down. Like as soon as you get rid of this GM and bring in another one, we're on like reset the timer on 5 years. Like it's like if you go ahead and fire Cherington, you are committing to starting over from scratch. Cruz is
that
gone.
Needs to happen.
Skeens is wasted. Like every single player on the roster right now will not be on the next winning Pirates team. That is a scary decision when you're Bob Nutting and you have sunk all this cost, all of this waiting around, like all the losing, all of like you did the big tear down, it didn't work. Oh, what do you do? The sunk cost fallacy must be just so intoxicating that what do you like? All right, I guess we'll try it one more time. Like, but nothing's going to change. Like the problem is
because Cherington doesn't have a plan because this jackass just admitted in front of the media that his whole plan was to run it back with the gang. The gang is coming back for the sequel, and we're going to hope to manifest some what ifs out of our assholes, and it's going to turn into some winning in the margins. Or we're going to hunt for urgency, but we're going to be patient about the urgency that we're hunting for with the support that we're giving to the staff. He just says shit. So he clearly has no plan. It's not a joke anymore. It's not a witch hunt. It's not that I just.
There's no plan. There's no players. There's nobody coming. Like there's not any interesting. Like there's no there. It didn't work.
Ask yourself this.
It's over.
Here's a campaign question for you. If Ben's running for election, is your life under Ben Cherington better than it was in 2019? Vote for Neil Huntington because I can't see any meaningful difference between 2019 and 2025.
No, I mean, or any of the years
in
between, all of the years where they were like tanking and trying to lose and all of that stuff, whether or not they never admitted it, but everybody saw it. And this might be the worst season under Cherington of all of them. Like they're on pace to have the worst season under Cherington, and it's the 6th season of Ben Cherington.
And this player-centric culture, I mean, we were promised and these guys were going to thrive and we weren't going to, hold them back. Like that doesn't mean anything. It's not shown on the field. All we saw from Shelton and Cherington was an inability to communicate whatever, they've overinvested in Harvard MBAs that are too busy smelling their own farts to realize that their team can't hit, and they don't want to admit that they're wrong. So they have an army of people down on Federal Street like screaming about the emperor's wearing clothes. It's like the emperor has no clothes down there, like the old story goes. And they haven't been able to communicate anything to the players and get them to perform. Cherington doesn't seem to admit anything's wrong. Bob is in a stupor. Like I just now I'm starting to think, like I said, I'm going to put it at 70-30 that he gets fired at the end of the season. There's still hope that Bob awakens from his stupor and fires this guy and gets this over with. But there's a growing chance every day that Cherington stays into 2026. And I don't know what to do if that happens, because they're going to run it back again.
They'll run it back again.
What else can they do? They don't
there's
have money.
There's nothing
The
else they
money's
can
been-
do.
Right.
There's no, like, you're not going to get any meaningful free agents because you don't have the budget for it.
And he's pretty much admitting that he's chasing trades down and they're not making them, which indicates that people are unwilling to trade with him for whatever reason, whether it's they don't like him or we don't have the assets they want, or it could be a
Right.
myriad of different things. But he's admitting on a press conference that I'm trying to do stuff.
Trades
and
aren't
it's just not
happening.
working.
Free agents
Correct.
aren't happening. There's nothing on the farm coming. This is bleak, man. There's nothing to look forward to. This season is already in the tank. Next season, it's either going to be they're running it back with Cherington, or they ultimately fired him and we're in a tear down like the Marlins had last year, and we're right back to square zero. And I guess we'll wait and see if they're good in 2032. Like,
my hope is that they fire Cherington before the end of the season and that get a jump start on hiring somebody new. That's what I would do if I was in Bob's shoes. Again, I'm not feeling very confident that's going to happen. And as far as this season goes, dead cat bounce. Well, we're going to find out when they play the Braves. They still have a really tough schedule. I'm personally, OG, investing as much emotional wish casting negative energy in this team losing. I want this team to burn to the fucking ground. Pirates fans, I know this is hard.
it's hard for me. I don't like seeing them lose. I don't watch the
I don't-
games. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the
I watch
losing.
every game. I
I know
every
you
pitch.
do.
It's tough. It's bad. But here's the thing. They're never going to learn a lesson unless they don't touch the hot stove. Cherington needs to get burnt. Nutting needs to get it through his thick fucking West Virginia head that this ain't working. And, losing is the only way that that's going to actually crack his skull. The other thing that's going to crack his fucking skull open is enough people come down there and scream sell the team and embarrass them. So get your asses down there and scream sell the team, because that's embarrassing to hear on the radio and the television broadcasts. Those are the only, and I don't think he's actually going to sell the team, but the point is that this is all supposed to add up to some kind of, let's go in a different direction energy.
Just a general air of toxicity. Yeah.
Correct. I'm not advocating any more kids to fall out of their seats or any other ushers to whip dudes like antebellum Civil War style. But I mean, maybe the more that bad shit happens, the better it is, because this is a clown show, and this firing today it's a clown show firing. And yeah, I mean, that's where I land on this. They missed an opportunity to really flush the toilet here. We got a turd float in the toilet, OG. The next general manager could do, Cleveland Guardians stuff. I mean, this all
I'm
goes
just bummed
away.
out at the prospect of the years and years and years of like guaranteed futility that are ahead of us. That we've been through that, and now we're going to do it again. And there's just no other possible outcome.
This all goes away if you win, and the Guardians are winning with a bad small payroll. The Athletics are winning, and they're playing in a minor league field in Sacramento. So it can be done. This can be done. And
over years, it can be done. That's the thing that bums me out, is
It can
knowing
be done.
that we're years away from a good place. And one of those years that are upcoming, there just might not be baseball at all. So like tack on another year or another two.
We have to get through it together. We will be, OG, you and I will be accountable together in this journey.
That's a good way to close it. This has been a special edition of the OG and Crab Show, dissecting and picking apart the Ben Cherington press conference about the firing of Derek Shelton. You can find us on any podcast platform that you like to use. Our audio feed is out there, and our links are in the description. And as always, Crab, what do you tell the people to do?
Please like and subscribe, or don't. I don't give a crap what you do. I still hate the Pirates, but I secretly love them. So I'm sad.
It's a love-hate relationship.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Just like us.
No, I only love you, though, dude.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
just
hate
love.
you.
It's just love. Excuse
It's just
me.
love.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'll be it for us. Thanks for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.